Good morning. My name is Ryan Conley, and I am the Worship Associate for this month. And I also serve this congregation as co-chair of worship. Because of the weather conditions across the Dallas area this weekend, and out of care for one another's safety, we made the decision to gather online today. While we would always prefer to be together in the same room, this choice reflects one of our deepest values, that the well-being of our community comes first. Even when we are not physically together, we remain connected. I came to this congregation a little over 1 year ago, after a long hiatus from religious life, at a moment when I was seeking community and steadiness in the midst of loss. What I found here was acceptance, care, and a willingness to meet one another honestly. That spirit continues to shape how we gather, even today, across screens and distance. This morning's service is a reflection on participation, responsibility, and the quiet courage it takes to show up, especially in the shared work of democracy. Voting is not only a civic act, it is a moral one. It is one way we say to one another, I am here, I belong, I care about the world we are shaping together. Community is always formed in moments like these, not just for comfort, but to strengthen one another for the work ahead. Hope in our tradition is not passive. It is something we practice together through presence, attention, and choice. I'm also especially excited to share that today you'll hear for the first time music from a newly formed group within our congregation. Ray, Moses, Yasmin, and I will be singing our hymns together this morning. I'm particularly looking forward to the meditation on breathing that Moses helped shape and will accompany on guitar. Truly one of the most moving renditions of this piece I've ever experienced, and I'm grateful you'll get to hear it today. As always, among us are people with many stories, many perspectives, and many ways of being in the world. Here it does not matter who you love, how you dress, what your income may be, or how you arrived at this moment. Whether your life feels settled or uncertain, whether you are confident or questioning, you are welcome here. May this time together ground us in care, open us to reflection, and remind us that the work of building a more just and compassionate world is shared work. Taken one step, one choice, one turn at a time. Let us now begin our worship together. I will light our chalice this morning with the following words. We light this flame. In affirmation of our fifth principle, the commitment to the democratic process in our congregation and in our society. That process is the shared work of listening, choosing, and participating with care for one another, and responsibility for the common good. May this light remind us that democracy is not passive, that hope requires our presence, and that the work of justice is carried forward, one choice, one voice, one turn at a time. The flame is lit. May we be guided by its light together. We are a non-creedal church. That means we don't ask you to sign on a list of beliefs. Instead, we ask that you enter into a covenant with us, a shared promise to care for one another, to respect each person's journey, and to walk together as we learn to grow. Please join me in reciting our covenant. Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance and service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together. Now I'm excited to share for the first time our new Sunday singers. I want to offer a special thank you to Yasmin Jackson, who initiated this effort and helped it spring so quickly to life. We first met this past Wednesday to record the hymns for today's service, anticipation of the weather. And it was such a joyful beginning that we decided to continue meeting every Wednesday at 7 p.m. At the moment, the group includes myself, Yasmin, Ray, and Moses, with a few more voices planning to join us soon. If you're interested in participating, we would love to have you. Please come join us on Wednesday evening. And I cannot iterate this enough. Moses' rendition led us to a version of the meditation on breathing that is unforgettable, highlighting the hidden talent we have in our congregation. So please join me in singing now, Once to Every Soul and Nation.
To every soul and nation comes the moment to decide in the strife of truth with falsehood for the good or evil side. Then to stand with truth is noble when we share its wretched crust, ere that cause bring fame and profit, and 'tis prosperous to be just. Though the cause of evil prosper, yet 'tis truth alone is strong. Though its portion be the scaffold, and upon the throne be wrong, then it is the brave one chooses, while the coward stands aside, till the multitude make virtue of the faith they have denied.
We now come to a time in our service when we honor the fullness of our shared life, its joys and its sorrows, its moments of hope and its moments of heaviness. I light our first candle for the joys that sustain us, the joys we name aloud and the joys we carry quietly within. We give thanks for the moments of connection, for kindness received and offered, and for a community that shows up for one another. May these shared joys remind us that hope is strengthened when it is held together. I light our second candle for the sorrows we bear, for grief, uncertainty, fatigue, and fear, spoken and unspoken. We hold those who are struggling, those who feel unheard or unseen, and those waiting for change that has been too long delayed. May compassion meet each burden, and may none of us feel alone in what we carry. As these candles burn, may they remind us that joy and sorrow belong to one another, and that both call us into relationship. May the light of joy encourage us to participate fully, and may the light of sorrow deepen our care. And may both guide us as we take our turn in tending to one another and the world we share. Please now join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Spirit of love, Spirit of life, known by many names and held in many understandings, we pause together in this tender space between reflection and resolve, between what has been given and what is now asked of us. We hold all who are weary, all who are waiting, and all who are searching for steadiness and hope. We hold those who feel uncertain about the world they're helping to shape, and those who wonder whether their presence truly matters. Remind us that even small acts of participation carry the weight of dignity. We hold in our hearts our own community this morning, those sheltering from difficult weather across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, those who made careful choices for safety, and those gathering distance rather than in one room. May care for one another remain our first instinct. May connection persist even when circumstances keep us apart. We hold the people of Greenland for their lives, for their culture, for their future. We give thanks for voices of restraint, for easing the threats born of power rather than consent. May the right of self-determination be honored. May no people be treated as territory. May the wisdom of listening prevail over hunger to dominate. In this moment, we give thanks for the democratic process, for its promise, its fragility, and its necessity, for the ways it asks us not only to hope, but to participate, not only to speak, but to listen, not only to inherit freedom, but to practice it. Even when the work feels slow, even when trust feels strained, help us remember that democracy lives through ordinary people choosing to show up when it's their turn. May courage take root in us, not the courage of uncertainty, but the courage of conscience. May compassion guide our steps. May hope rise within us, not as wishful thinking, but as shared responsibility. In this spirit, we offer this prayer. Amen. Let us now enter silence together, making room for quiet reflection, for personal prayer or meditation, and for the joys and concerns we each carry within.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
We begin this service with wisdom from Frederick Douglass, who understood that democracy survives only when ordinary people choose to participate. His words come from a different time, and they invite us to reflect honestly on our own. A man's right to vote is the foundation of his liberty. Without it, freedom is only a promise, a justice, and justice a word easily spoken and easily withdrawn. The right to vote is the right by which all others are secured. It is the means by which the humblest citizen may stand in dignity beside the powerful and say, I count. Where this right is denied, hope is made fragile and citizenship incomplete. Power concedes nothing without demand. It never did and it never will. Progress comes not from waiting patiently for permission, but from people deciding that their presence matters. The work of democracy is never finished. It must be claimed by each generation again and again. when it is their turn. I think it's really cool to have a speaker join us today that can be looked up on Wikipedia. Today we are honored to welcome former Texas State Representative Lon Burnam. Lon's public life has been shaped by a deep belief that democracy depends not on power, but on participation. For nearly 2 decades, he served the people of Fort Worth in the Texas House, advocating for civil liberties, environmental responsibility, and the dignity of ordinary people, especially those voices that are too often overlooked. Before and beyond elected office, his work has been rooted in the community organizing, peace building, and civic engagement. As a longtime member of the Religious Society of Friends, the Quaker tradition, his approach to public service has been guided by conscience, integrity, and the conviction that justice begins with listening. We are grateful for his presence and his witness, someone who understands that democracy is not abstract, but lived, practiced, and sustained by people who chose to show up. Please join me in welcoming Lon Burnam.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thankfully for the technology, I can be with you remotely. And thank you for the very generous introduction. Unfortunately, after that buildup, I'm afraid people are going to be either disappointed in my presentation or maybe insulted, but certainly relieved that my comments will be so brief. I should start with a caveat that I misunderstood the assignment until a couple of days ago. I thought I would be teaching a Sunday school class. Turns out this is supposed to be a talk, dare I say a sermon, of longer duration than I had time to prepare for. I've spent several hours this past week trying to persuade people of the importance of voting in a special election runoff for Senate District 9 here in Tarrant County, as have several other volunteers. But if previous elections are predictors, it will be a tremendous surprise if as many as 10% of the registered voters bother to vote. These hours of volunteer call time were spent largely leaving 1-minute messages or for very brief conversations. And now you're hoping that I'll give you a full-length sermon? Well, we'll try. It probably won't be. A friend noted it's particularly difficult for a Quaker like me, who is accustomed to worshiping in silence, to come up with a sermon-length talk. I tried, but I could not. I would much rather that we all spent several minutes pondering or praying on what I have said, and I understand that will happen a little later this morning. As an elected official, I learned that most gratifying is to meet with folks and give a brief talk, and then open up to questions and answers. But as it is, I've been invited to mess with your business, disturb your comfort, and in some way provide a prophetic message of an obligation to act. With 2 notable exceptions that I know in this congregation, Mavis Belisle and Scott Gray, most of the people here, and frankly, in virtually every congregation and gathering of people of goodwill, most of us have simply not done enough or even our fair share to save the Republic of the United States of America from the despotic authoritarian impulses of the people in charge of our national and state governments. It is my intent to make you uncomfortable and assault your self-satisfied sense of, well, we are Unitarians. We're not like that. The Quakers as a group are no better. In fact, the Quaker tendency to continue to think highly of ourselves for our leadership in opposing slavery in the 19th century clearly speaks to the problem. Otherwise, good people too often fail to recognize their responsibility of stewardship of what was given to us at the time of the adoption of the United States Constitution. Now, 250 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed, too many of us seem too complacent and willing to bow down to the demands of a king wannabe, a man who in reality is a convicted felon, a rapist, a sociopath, and one of the most outlandishly narcissistic individuals of the 21st century. But how could this have happened? Who could have prevented this? There's plenty of blame to go around. But in a minute, let's focus on the solution. Let me back up for a minute and add some facts that define who I am. As a kid, I was unusually fascinated with and read almost every biography in my school library about Native American and American Revolutionary heroes. I learned about the struggle to be free and the importance of being at one with the creation. We all know that there were grave shortcomings in the founding of this republic, but many of us grew up to believe that, at least until now, there has been steady progress towards a better, more egalitarian, and democratic society. What happened? I mean, WTF, what happened? Too many people don't vote, and too many people that do vote think that is enough, that they fulfill their responsibility of stewardship to the republic that was handed to us. Really? Why don't people understand that there will always be people that want to take what you have from you? There are people that want to take Greenland from the people of Greenland. There are people that want to take Ukraine from the Ukrainians. There are people that want to take all of Palestine from the Palestinians. And going back to the human bondage concern, at the turn of this century, there were more people in this country enslaved in de facto slavery than there were legally owned slaves at the end of the war between the states. You know the cliche, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, and we have not been vigilant enough. All of us have a responsibility to do more than vote. Let's digress to some of the hundreds of excuses not to vote. The system is so corrupt, I don't want to be a part of it. Well, you are. Just by being here and consuming here, you are a part of it. You're either a part of the solution or you are part of the problem. Elections are fundamentally flawed and inaccessible. I don't want to encourage them, those politicians being them, by voting. I'm tired of choosing the lesser of bad options. Hey, all this is true. All of these are pretty lame excuses for not being involved, but it has only gotten worse in recent years because too many people spend too little time learning about and acting in defense of our republic. You are here, you consume here, you pay taxes here, you are a part of this flawed republic, so get with it. It is all of our responsibilities to work to save this republic if we can, if it is not too late. I don't often paraphrase Karl Marx, the 19th century philosopher, but he once wrote something to the effect that religion is the opiate of the masses. That might be true of some, but in this century, I think it more apt to say that the real opiate of the masses that helps us avoid thinking and acting critically is the excessive pursuit of happiness through shopping, social media, watching organized sports, or becoming foodies, all conspicuous consumption and usually at the expense of others. Really, exactly what is the meaning of life to you? Consuming as much as you can? Does it include helping others? Does it include defending God's creation? Does it include working to improve our various human institutions, such as this very church, this nation, or this state? I could go on and on, but what is the point? Our republic is on the verge of collapse, and the burden of working to save it is left to too small a group of people. Every week, I hold an accountability lunch. The Good Trouble Lunch Bunch gathers and reports to each other what kind of good trouble we have been into that week. We make announcements about things that have happened and upcoming political events, and always try to get people to grow their activism beyond their comfort zone. So that is what I hope I have done with you today. I hope this is a good starting point for some good conversation about what each and every one of us can do to help save our republic. Thank you for listening.
Our closing hymn this morning is hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered, burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance burns within. Then our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
We close today with the words of civil rights icon John Lewis, reminding us again that democracy survives only when we are willing to participate in it. The vote is precious. It is almost sacred. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society. But the vote is not just a right, it is a responsibility. It is not something to be taken lightly or used only when convenient. Democracy is not a state, it is an act, and each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a nation and a world at peace with itself. Ordinary people with extraordinary courage can change the course of history. We stand up, speak out, and show up. We honor those who came before us and make room for those who will come after. The vote is the way we say to one another, I matter, you matter, we belong. Thank you. We are a self-sustaining, lay-led congregation. All that we do, our care for one another, our worship, and our work in the wider world is made possible only by the gifts of this community. We invite you to consider a gift of your time, your talents, or your treasure in support of this congregation, as we strive together to help build a more fair and just world. If you would like to give today, you can donate online at oakcliffuu.org/donate. Or you may give by text by texting the dollar amount to this phone number, 214-225-5996. Thank you for all the ways you choose to participate in the life and work of this community.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Asio recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, así te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
As we extinguish this flame, we remember that the light it represents does not belong only to this hour. May we carry this light with us into our communities and our lives, remembering that participation is a practice, and that the democratic process is sustained each time we choose to show up with integrity and care. The flame is extinguished, but the work remains, and when it is our turn, may we be ready.